Hello YouTube, in this episode of the Hypertrophy series, we're going to take compound movements and we're going to flip the practical use that most people make of them and actually use them as gouging tools for intensity and volume manipulation. If you want to know my thoughts that are going to be important to capture and understand before you jump into this video about compound movements, strength work, and heavy sets, I suggest you go in the natural hypertrophy playlist. Some of the first videos I made on this channel are about that. But let's dive inside the topic of today. So the reason why you should actually start your training sessions with a heavy compound movement is of course the fact that it's going to allow you to accumulate tonnage fast. I've discussed that before. This is the reason why bodybuilders should be doing heavy squats, deadlifts, bench, or whatever types of lifts that are going to allow you to load the bar and target a ton of muscle groups. But you might be thinking, okay, that's great and all, we're getting tons of tonnage, but where is the tonnage going? Because it's being dispersed since there are so many muscle groups that are being activated. And you would be right. This is the reason why some people say that deadlifts are not good for bodybuilding and hypertrophy. Well, yeah, you lift a ton of weight, but where is the weight going? You don't really know because so many muscles are used. And that's a fair point. But I want you to understand that that's actually the beauty and the important part of those movements. They let you get a ton of tonnage dispersed quickly. They fire up the body so that the body is ready for the rest. And they give you a good idea of where the rest of the tonnage should go. This is how you should think about it. I personally don't think about my strength work as the most important part of my training. The strength work is just business as usual. It's something I have to do. It's the only part of the program that never rotates in and out. It's always there. It is always going to be heavy deadlifts, heavy squats, heavy bench, and heavy curls. They have to be there. It's not negotiable. Why? Because they give me an accurate assessment of the way my body is recovering. And this is what I'm going to talk about today. Using these not just as a way to build your strength, but as a way to make sure that you gain an ability to build up volume and the majority of what people would call quality volume and good tonnage with the rest of the program. You see, the issue that you would face if you decided to just completely let go of strength work and only do your sets in higher rep ranges with relative intensities is that you wouldn't progress as fast, of course, because usually those lifts they carry over and so they feed into the variations, but worse than that, you would lose the ability to know how much volume you should be doing. Example, you show up one day, your session is lower body, you're gonna work your quads, your glutes today. You open with a session of heavy squats. Let's say last time you hit 4 reps for 300 pounds. Today you come in and you only get 3. You regressed. What does that mean? It means that for the rest of the day, you might not have the ability to handle more volume. Maybe this is a sign that you did not recover enough, but this was a preemptive sign. See, if you didn't have those squats to let you know, you might have jumped into the volume that follows fresher, which would have given you a false idea of how much you should be doing, right? Because as I said, I don't really promote the idea of only doing lightweight. So in this case, you would still be missing that information that the heavy sets would give you. And I'm going to tell you right now, heavy sets, they don't have to be taxing. The way I do it is sometimes they are, sometimes I'm going to go and get a ton of volume and tonnage on them, but sometimes they just warm me up. Like right now with squats, I just warm up to 4 reps of 375 for one set. It doesn't tire me out. And after that, I do a ton of front squats and post squats. But not only does it promote progression on these, on the later lifts, it also gives me a good idea of how much I should be doing. So I could stay at the same weight for the strength work, but up the volume, which would up my tonnage and promote muscular hypertrophy in my legs. The way I always think about it is I use the accessories, the variations, all of those other lifts that I'm going to be doing in lower intensity windows as my the portion of the workout where I sculpt the body, where I really focus on the details, where I really target the right area. This is when I can really get my focus in, and this is the bodybuilding part of the training for me. But without the strength work, as I explained, all of that would suffer, because it's the strength work that allows me to actually manipulate the volume and intensity accurately. Because if these just existed by themselves and they didn't have the introduction of the strength work, one, I would still have to warm up for these, because you can't just jump in them, right? I would potentially not be as efficient on them, because as I said, the strength work is not going to tire you out if you just do a little bit of it. It's going to fire up your central nervous system, and I would end up with only them as the way to manipulate volume and intensity. And because they already represent a portion of the tonnage that is the biggest part of the program, the percentage of cuts that I would have to make might be too much. Whereas because the strength work doesn't represent that much, because it's done in high intensity and lower rep ranges, sacrifices made there are not going to have that much of an impact on my tonnage. So this is actually going to be used as the scapegoat, in a sense. This is where the manipulation goes. And after that, if you slap on top of that the ability to rotate lifts and manipulate reps and set with evolving rep range, you end up with a program that can never fail you, because it's always going to be a constant stream of manipulation, flexibility, so that you always progress and you always promote the ability to stay consistent day in and day out. So this is the way I would like you guys to think about this relationship between strength work that open the workout and the rest of the volume that you get that actually leads to growth. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.